What's going on? I'm going to be doing a review on the RG280V, which is a small handheld emulator from Anbernic. It's a really cool pocketable device, so let's check it out. First, I'm just going to do a quick unboxing. So here's the box. It has the specs on it if you want to take a look at what CPU it's using. The top of it just slides off, and then the first thing is the console. Underneath, there's a USB-C cable and the instruction booklet. It's wrapped up in a soft bag and some foam to protect it. Mine did have some charge right out of the box, and I was able to turn it on right away. The specs of the RG280V, it has a 2.8-inch glass IPS display with a resolution of 320 by 480. It has a 2100 mAh battery. This should last up to 5 hours. It has SD card slot up to 256 gigabytes. It uses USB-C for charging. There's a headphone jack and one speaker on the back of the system. It's a very small device for what it can do. It has the same operating system and internals as the RG350 line of devices, so it can run up to PS1. There are some PS1 games that don't play perfectly, but most run at full speed. For controls, it has all of the buttons that the original PlayStation controller had. It obviously doesn't have any analog sticks, so any games that require the DualShock aren't playable. But I feel like this was made for more handheld games and the older consoles, based on the fact that it has the Famicom aesthetic. It has more of a Game Boy feel to it than the PSP feel from most of the current emulation handhelds. The body itself is made out of a very nice plastic with a thin metal plate on the front to make it look a lot more like the Famicom, but I also think it looks a lot like the Game & Watch that just came out. The front of the system has the D-pad, start and select, and the face buttons. The top has shoulder and trigger buttons, the USB-C port, and the headphone jack. On the left side, it has the volume rocker and the internal and external SD card slots. The right side has the power and reset buttons. There's nothing on the bottom. And the speaker is on the back. Mine didn't come with an external SD card, so I had to set that up and add my own ROMs. For the face buttons, they're a mushy style button, but they aren't too soft of a press. They feel pretty much the same as the RG350, but with a little bit more resistance. They're like an in-between of the Switch Pro controller and the Xbox One controller. If you've ever used a PowerA Pro controller, it feels almost the same as those. The D-pad feels pretty solid. It's a bit more stiff than the RG350 and the RG351, but it's not as hard to press as the Retroid Pocket 2. And it does have a nice spike in the middle, so you can't push all the directions at once. And again, it feels almost the same as the PowerA Pro controller. The shoulder buttons are a clicky micro switch, so they aren't the greatest, but they get the job done. My bigger problem with them is that if you want to be able to push them quickly, you have to hold the console in a weird way. They are sort of stacked to try and make this a little easier, but it really didn't help me all that much. Now for some size comparisons. First up is the RG350M. It's about half the size of the RG350 with the same thickness. Next is the RG351M, and as you can see, it's the same thickness and it's about half the length, but the RG280 is a little thicker than the RG351. It's still more pocketable, but the RG351 is maybe number 2. And finally, the Retroid Pocket 2. They're still pretty much the same thickness, but the RG280 is pretty much half the size of the Retroid Pocket 2. Now onto the emulation testing. Here's just a quick NES game test playing Super Mario Bros., and there's no problems at all. Next is SNES with Yoshi's Island, and for the most part, it runs fine. But there are some parts of certain levels that there will be a small amount of slowdown. Most NES games run at full speed with no problems though. This is the Sega Genesis playing Aladdin, and it runs perfectly. Now for some Game Boy Advance emulation with Dynasty Warriors Advance. As you can see, the RG280V has no problems with GBA. Finally is some PS1 with Spyro, and it runs great with no frame drops, though some PlayStation 1 games like Dead or Alive and some of the Tekken games don't run quite at full speed, but a lot of games do. The RG280V is an awesome little system that is probably the most pocketable with the best performance out there of the recent handheld emulators. For its pros, the small size is good for portability, the screen is great, the buttons are all high quality, emulation up to PS1 is very good, and the build quality is top notch. As for cons, the small size makes it a little uncomfortable to play while using the shoulder buttons. There are no analog sticks. It has the same performance as the RG350 devices. There's only a mono speaker. And the price, it goes for around $80. It's a really cool piece of tech that if you can find it on sale and want something very pocketable, this is a great option. It's basically a more useful Super Mario Game & Watch. That was my review on the RG280V. Do you plan to pick it up, or is it a pass? Let me know what you thought in the comments, or you can come talk to me live on Twitch, link in the description. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave it a like, and subscribe for more tech and gaming content. Thanks for watching. Sonic is my biggest weakness. I don't know how to handle Sonic. I feel like that down air is so bad. Like, it's probably good if you hit it, but like that. But that's the first time I've hit it.